Today, I'm going to be brining a whole chicken that tomorrow is going to go out on the pit barrel cooker. So yes, we're starting the brining process today because this chicken is going to sit in the refrigerator overnight in the brining solution. That's really one of the best ways to brine. You can do it for a shorter amount of time, but if you can give it at least that overnight until the next day, the next afternoon, I think it really does help that chicken stay tender and juicy. So what we're starting with here to start building our brining solution is 2 quarts of water. To this we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of kosher salt, 1/4 cup of a very coarsely cracked black pepper. These are almost whole peppercorns, they're just barely broken down. We're also going to add 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. We're just going to mix this up. Now it's time to get our chicken in here. So this is about a 4.5 pound chicken. I'm just going to push down in here and see if we can get it all the way under the water. We can add more water if we need to. We want to add enough just to cover the chicken. I'm going to add just a little bit more water here. And that's all there is to it. This is a very simple, basic brining solution. You can add to yours, but I'm going basic on this because we're going to be adding some more flavors to this chicken tomorrow before we get it out on the pit barrel cooker. So I'm going to get this covered up in the refrigerator, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Our chicken is out here. It has brined overnight. I've taken it out of the brine, patted it down a little bit, tried to get most of those peppercorns, those cracked black peppercorns off there. Still a few on there, but that's no problem. Those will soften up a little more once they're on the pit barrel cooker. Most of them are going to fall off anyway. But right now, we've got to get an injection in this. Now, what I'm going to be using for an injection today is a 50-50 mix of apple juice and a barbecue sauce from Bob's Smokin' Southern Barbecue. This sauce that I'm using from them is their barbecue and dipping sauce. It's a little bit thinner, so it's going to work well by being diluted just by 50%. If you want to use a thicker barbecue sauce, you may need to add a little bit more apple juice or whatever else your thinning agent is. And the main areas I'm concerned with here are the breasts. So I want to get a good amount of juice in there. And yes, it's going to run out, it's going to squirt out, it's going to avalanche out. It's a fact of life when you're injecting. I'm going to get a little bit deep in each thigh. I'm happy with that. And now what I want to do is I want to hit the outside of this with a little bit of rub. I'm using the Pit Barrel Cooker All-Purpose Rub today. It's going to give this a little bit of extra flavor on the outside. Quickly. All right, it's time to get this on our poultry hanger for the pit barrel cooker. I'm going to be hanging it thighs and legs side down today, breast side up. I just prefer doing that. I've done a few chickens now on the pit barrel cooker, and your thigh and leg side is a little more forgiving to that heat that it's closer to, more fat in that area. Also, it just tastes really good when those thighs and drumsticks get cooked closer to those coals. We're going to slide our hanger through here. Get it right up there, tuck our legs over. I also want to tuck my wings in. If they slip out, it's not the end of the world, but those are going. Got our top part of the hanger there. The only other thing I want to do right now is I want to get my temperature probe in here. It's much easier than doing it once you're already hanging it. I'm just going to be going for the deepest part of the breast there. This will be a guide, give me an idea when we're getting closer to that 165-degree internal, which is the ultimate temperature we're shooting for with this chicken on the pit barrel cooker. All right, it's brined, it's injected, it's rubbed, and it's probed. Let's get it out to the PBC. All right, I need to remove my lid. I need to temporarily remove one of my hanging rods. And that is just so I can get my temperature probe wire out. Go ahead and get our chicken on. I'm gonna get a piece of cherry wood down here. I do like cherry with chicken. All right, let's get our lid on and get smoking. You can see that our internal meat temperature on the ThermoWorks smoke is showing 41.8. Perfect. Chicken's been out of the refrigerator for about 15 minutes. I think we got a good spot with our temperature probe. As I mentioned inside, we're gonna be taking this chicken to 165 degrees internal. Could be 2-3 hours. Let's wait and see. I'll bring you back when we're getting close to that temperature. So we're about 10 degrees from our final internal temperature of 165 on this chicken. And right now, got about maybe 10 to 15 minutes to go. I want to spray this with a 50-50 mixture of apple juice and water. That is looking really nice. I just want to put a little more moisture on the outside of the skin here as this finishes up. Just need to spray the top here. It'll drizzle down. We're going to get our lid back on and let it finish up. So we're just at about our target internal temperature of 165, and I want to start checking with the instant read here. Ah, that's looking good. Just want to take a couple spot checks here. Let's check our thigh here. That thigh is showing 167, I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if we can get a breast temperature right here. That's showing 166, so we look like we are good. All right, we're gonna get this off of here, get it inside, tent it with some foil and let it rest for about 15 minutes before we carve in. All right, here is our brined, injected, and rubbed bird off the pit barrel cooker. Gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the looks of this, but really, it's what's inside that matters. So let's cut in. See, I'm just gonna go right here for a slice of some breast meat. Oh, it smells really good. Oh, and there we go. Yes. Nice and juicy in there. Now, breast meat is great, but it's really the thigh meat that I like on chickens. So I'm gonna cut into some thigh meat too. Got a little bit of a juice-a-lanch going, but that's all right. Oh, nice and juicy thigh meat. Look at that. That looks good. And that tells me one thing. It's time to taste. So the total cook time for this chicken out on the PBC was about 2.5 hours today. I've found that to be pretty typical, 2.5 to 3.5 hours. For the pit barrel cooker when I've been cooking chickens are in this 4 to 5 pound range. A lot of it depends on conditions. It's a little cooler today, but I gotta tell you, I think it turned out terrific without even tasting it yet. So let's see, here's some of that breast meat. Ooh, that diluted barbecue sauce injection is in there. I can taste that. I'm a little surprised how good that flavor is in there and how pronounced it is. I thought it was gonna be a lot more mellowed and really just about moisture, but it imparted a lot of that barbecue sauce flavor in there. Oh, but now some of the dark meat, that thigh meat with the skin. Now the other thing I've found on the PBC is that the skin on the side closest to the charcoal gets crispier. Makes sense, it's, you know, closer to the heat. So those thighs and the skin down there does have a little bit more crisp than the skin on top. But overall, the skin is really good on this, not rubbery at all anywhere on the bird. But I'm dying to taste this piece of dark meat. Oh yes. Can they just grow chickens with only thighs and drumsticks? You know, just kind of like four-legged chickens without a head? I'd buy those every day. I mean, oh. That juice and that flavor in the thighs, it's just, you can't beat it in my opinion. It is just perfect. And that's really what a well-cooked chicken is about, getting that great flavor in the dark meat. Getting great flavor in the breast meat is also a little bit of a trick sometimes, but I gotta say that injection really worked, and the brine helping keep this moist, helping keep this tender, worked really well. So an overnight swim in our brine solution, a simple injection, a good rub, 2.5 hours out on the PBC. This is chicken that you really can't beat.